Hello, my name is Nigel Hart. I'm a GP and Associate Director for GP Training for Quality Improvement. Welcome to this short video on creating a driver diagram in the Equip Bite-Size series. I'm going to just do this real time, so it'll be a bit messy, but hopefully you'll get the idea of how, when you've done all your thinking about creating a driver diagram, how you put it together. So the scenario I'm going to try and work through is one where someone has commented how much urine samples have been brought into the practice, and we seem to be testing far too many. And someone in fact does a bit of an audit and checks the time that is taken for analyzing all these samples. They work out it takes 12 minutes per urine sample by the treatment room, but also 4 to 5 minutes by the time the staff member brings them in, prepares them, and takes them for analysis. So it's taking a lot of time. And you also find out from your audit that half of those that you're testing shouldn't really be tested. There's no real need to test them, and that's taking a lot of unnecessary time. So there's agreement among the practice. You should try and rationalize what happens, and you agree a protocol, put it in place, and then discover a little bit time later that actually not necessarily everyone's following it, and then you realize you need to apply some QI methods to try and improve the amount of usage of the protocol. So with that, I'm going to flip to just doing this driver diagram in real time. So I'm hoping you can now see the blank screen here, and I'm going to have a go at constructing this driver diagram for our problem of too much samples of urine, too many samples of urine come into the practice. So what you decide is you're going to set an aim. We know that for driver diagram we need primary drivers, secondary drivers, and then actions. Use my scroll with this. So you decide to set as your aim. You want 80%. We very rarely set 100%. You can if you want, but obviously you want to set a target. It'll stretch you, but we're going to set 80% of all your analysis adhering to the urine protocol you've agreed by, you set a date, 31st of January. You've agreed. So we're going to think, well, what are the big primary drivers that are going to allow us to achieve this specific aim? So you decide we have to do something around staff knowledge, just knowing about what's best practice and how to follow that. That's going to be an important aspect. You think there's something in here about the systems in place in the practice. So the practice system, and there's something in here about the clinical system. So there might be other ones. I'm not saying this is the be all and end all, but there might be some other ones, but those are the ones we're going to go for. So in the staff knowledge, you think, well, actually, there's the clinical team, there's the clinical staff, who doctors and nurses, who kind of maybe need to know a bit more in depth about the reasons and rationale and recent evidence and advice from NICE or NICE bites or something like that. So, and there's the admin team. So, what things can you do to ensure that the staff have sufficient knowledge that will help them to go for this aim? So you might think about having basically set up a lunch update session. You might create a the urine story or something like that, something a bit fun, to make people stick in people's mind. Remember, what you're trying to do is to increase the knowledge of the staff, so that they will help them to achieve the aim that you're setting for the for this project. There might be something around some antibiotic guidelines you want to summarize, for example, for the team. You might have an information sheet. You might have an aid memoir, which is readily available. So these are all actions you're going to take to increase the knowledge of the staff, to help them to pursue this aim. The admin team say they need something that they can readily refer to. So when they're in the front desk or on the phone, so they've asked for a flow chart. So make them a flow chart. So this helps to increase the knowledge, and it's there and available at any stage. So these are all individual actions that you can take one at a time or many at a time that will affect the knowledge of the staff, which will help them to reach this aim. You then think about the practice system. So remember that the actions meet the needs of the secondary drivers, which meet the needs of the primary drivers, which impact on the aim. So for the practice system, you decide you need to have a policy and a protocol drawn up, and that's something that you've sort of started on, but you need to develop that. That's an action, and agree. You also need to review whenever you discover that things aren't working quite as you had hoped when you go back to it. You work out, you've got to have a flow chart, which is readily available, which again is helping with knowledge up there. And you work out, you need actually a written pro forma, something which can be filled in by member of the team. Could be a patient even driven one, or something else. And you also work out you want to have a urine pack, which you think is going to help things if that's all sort of set up and easy to use. So these are more secondary drivers which help you to improve the system. So again, you need to write this. Urine packs need to agree what's in them. Make sure that they're available, and need to dedicate a row. So these are the actions which allow you to deliver on your secondary drivers, which drive the primary drivers, which move towards the aim. We'll think about the clinical system then, and this might be some kind of prompts that whenever someone writes in the terms cystitis or UTI or something like that, that you can get a prompt from your clinical system. This will rely on coding. So what code you're going to use, and then some of the things we should really write a template for the computer. And again, it's working out the design of that, and the steps that should be on that, and it might also include prompts for prescribing, and so on. Because what you want to do is to take the steps which will allow you to deliver on your overall aim. It might also be something which also prompts for allows you to send a link to patient.co.uk or something like that for the patients. The other thing I think is probably worthwhile considering here is something around the patient knowledge, because what's going to help you deliver on this is if the patients really become knowledgeable with this. And again, this can be information on the website, or again information which is sent when someone phones in with a complaint of cystitis or a UTI or something like that. So again, this is prompts, and you can then update your website, and again links to things like patient.co.uk. So as you start to see, you've got all these actions you can think about. You can think about doing, and you don't necessarily do them all at once. Many of them you go, well, we'll do that first, and we'll see how we get on. But the whole point of this is it's to do all the really broad thinking about all of the steps you could take, and there are probably many, many, many more that I haven't thought of here. Last thing I just want to say in this then is to think about briefly about the sort of measures that you might use, and we talk about outcome measures, and if you wanted, this could be doing a sampling of time spent, in a particular day. To take a sample of a day and look at how many urine samples were checked that day, and see what that amounted to in time. You could have some process, so it's about how often did someone use the template, for example, for all the urine samples that were done. And the balancing measures could be something like missed UTIs. Balancing measures are looking for things that have happened, or extra resources have been required. So the other thing you might think about might be time taken to make up the kits. So it's a job that someone has to do. That's kind of a balancing measure. So that's a quick run through developing a driver diagram. There are probably many more things that you would put onto that, but just gives you an idea about how to do that. In a subsequent Equip Bite-sized video, we'll show you how to make that into a driver diagram, which is nice and neat and typed on the computer. But that's for another session. Thank you.